The protagonist reflects on his life, once hoping for a normal and peaceful fate with his sister, but his paths were changed by the blood of a dragon. The dragon's blood flies right into his face. He looks at it anxiously and fearfully, hoping it won't get in his eyes. Then we see the beast summoners who have infiltrated his world. The various magical creatures, from demons to beast-like warriors, are clearly a major threat. The Azure Dragon Academy appears on the scene, giving the hero a chance to change his destiny and fight for great opportunities despite all the danger that surrounds him. A cute dog looks at us with glittering eyes and tongue out, as if bringing some light and joy to the harsh reality. The protagonist realizes that life is far from being simple. One of his opponents, with eyes that glow with magic, claims that no one will just give up, showing strength and determination. Despite the difficulties, our hero decides to fight for his future. He holds a sphere around which images of powerful beings, dragons and phoenixes, form. The hero experiences the bullying of his enemies, the betrayals of his friends, and the scorn of those around him. All these are the trials he has to endure. Despite all the difficulties, the hero firmly decides to shatter the illusions of his enemies and prove his strength. The hero prepares to use his spiritual power. His face reflects determination and readiness for battle. He is determined that once and for all he will rise to the top. 1,000 years ago, magical beasts were ruled by a powerful clan of dragons. On the throne sits a demon, surrounded by his subordinates. This is the demon god, the one who stands above all other creatures and symbolizes unprecedented power and cruelty. The demon god had exorbitant ambition and wreaked havoc everywhere. Behind the demon god are his army and subordinates, ready to fight for their lord. Creatures of various kinds, from demons to beasts. The humans watch in horror as an army of magical beasts invade and take over the world. Their expressions show fear and utter despair at the impending danger. The demon god knows no limit in his greed and seeks to plunge the entire world into endless darkness. His face is filled with a sinister smile, and in his hands he holds an orb symbolizing the planet. Humanity, faced with the threat of doom, reveals its full potential. Warriors of different styles and with different abilities fight to defend their land and stop the invasion. At the dawn of the awakening of spiritual power, a select few people gained the ability to control magical beasts, making them an important force in confronting the darkness. These people became known as powerful beastmen, able to resist dragons and other dark forces that threatened to destroy their world. Beastmasters are powerful warriors who can control magical beasts. For example, this girl has a huge toothy lion with a purple mane. The battle is in full swing. The magical dragon emits a powerful cry. Magic flashes around it, creating a tense atmosphere of battle. A report comes in that a magical beast has been shot down over the northern area of Qingfeng City. The dragon falls, surrounded by a powerful magical attack. A new report comes in. A magical beast has fallen into a residential area and urgent help is needed. The main character, Xiao Xinyu, from the 3rd grade of Xianan High School, also receives the report. His face expresses alarm, clearly realizing that something really dangerous is happening. Amidst the destruction and blood, a mighty dragon appears, and the protagonist is next to it, knocked down. The dragon's blood splatters and lands on Xiao Xinyu's face. His face is full of fright and surprise, clearly not expecting this development. Xiao Xinyu sees the dragon's blood wash over him, and sparks and flames fly around him. He stands there not knowing what to do next, a mixture of determination and fear on his face. He recalls the beginning of the disaster, how he made a pact, sealing it with his blood and summoning spirits from the void to gain powers. The hero's last words sound like an incantation. Let my blood be the payment and my words the bond. Hear my command. The fire lion is released, surrounded by purple flames. It attacks, emitting a powerful wave of magic. It is confirmed that the magical beast is dead. It falls, enveloped in a bright purple light, clearly unable to withstand the force of the attack. The protagonist sits among the ruins, covering his face with his hands. There is fire and shattered rocks all around. There are reports that there are survivors. The protagonist is relieved to realize that no one was hurt, or rather he is informed about it. The scene shows Su Ruyan, the principal of the Azure Dragon Academy, next to a huge lion. She apologizes for the inconvenience. Su Ruyan confidently says that they will make up for the damage to the protagonist's house and hands him an invitation to the Azure Dragon Academy. The protagonist stands amidst the destruction, holding the invitation in his hands in surprise, while 2 people on a winged beast bid him farewell, saying, "See you later, young man." Su Ruyan riding his lion. The protagonist realizes that the beastmen are in front of him. Xiao dreams of becoming one of them like many in this world, but he doesn't even have the money to buy a beast, which means he can't take the initial Beastmaster exam. His dog walks up to him and something catches his eye, perhaps an invitation to the academy. The dog looks pleased, happily spilling out his emotions. His gaze is sincere and full of energy. The dog licks Xiao, who is not thrilled with this kind of attention. He is clearly stunned, trying to react to such a display of affection. The protagonist holds the dog in his arms, standing amidst the destruction, and wonders if he's been following him all this time. He wonders if it can be tamed. The protagonist recalls that the textbooks mentioned a similar creature, a storm dog with a rather weak bloodline. The dog doesn't require much spiritual power, and the protagonist hopes he can feed it. Joyfully, he declares that now he has a beast, he can become a beastmaster. Xiao Xinyu reflects that the national exam is only 3 days away, and he will hardly have time to prepare. He lifts the dog up, addressing it, and is about to start practicing. Xiao Xinyu heads into the city, to the Beastmaster store, his thoughts filled with doubts about whether he will be able to take care of his new pet. The protagonist stands in front of the fur trapper's store and contemplates whether to keep the dog or find someone who can take care of him. Xiao Xinyu realizes that the dog has no future with him, because in one night he ate the entire week's supply of food. The guy stands outside the store and meets his owner, who aggressively inquires what he is doing at the door at such an early hour. The protagonist, holding a dog, offers the owner to buy this beast, but the dog starts barking. The shopkeeper abruptly rejects the offer, pointing out that this beast, Storm Dog, has a low pedigree and cannot evolve, and therefore no one would want to buy it. He then rudely tells the hero to leave and not interfere with his work. The hero calmly replies that if the owner doesn't want the dog, he doesn't have to yell like that. At this point, the hero's gaze changes. Something unexpected catches his attention. The dog in his hands is suddenly surrounded by a mystical light, and a system window appears before his eyes, informing him that Storm Dog has a hidden path of evolution. The hero is confused and asks himself what is going on. The system confirms the hidden evolutionary path of the dog, including several stages, from Hellstorm to Doomsday Wolf. The hero repeats in surprise, "Hidden evolutionary path?" Meanwhile, the store owner ironically asks what other hidden evolutionary path the Storm Dog might have, and demands the hero get out, saying that there is no hidden path the beast has. Xiao and his dog notice the appearance of the system window and, surprised, realize that he's the only one who sees it. Su Jie mocks him, reminding him that he didn't pass his exams because he didn't have a beast. He notices the puppy and mockingly asks if the guy couldn't raise any money. The guy grudgingly replies that Su Jie should mind his own business, but the guy continues to taunt, calling his beast Storm Dog and laughing. Su Jie argues that Lin was right, and the guy isn't going to take the Beastmaster exams. He adds that even if the guy wanted to, he wouldn't be able to do it. After that, he laughs, clearly mocking. The guy is surprised at the mention of Lin, and Su Jie continues, explaining that his ex-girlfriend, Jiang Lin, is now dating him. Jiang Lin shows up and asks where Su Jie disappeared to. She says she's been looking for him for a long time. Su Jie replies that he met an old acquaintance of hers and decided to greet her. The girl awkwardly says her ex-boyfriend's name, telling Su Jie that she broke up with him a long time ago. Xiao engages in a dialogue with Lin, expressing his anger for her betrayal and how she dumped him, and indeed, he's the one who dumped her. Xiao then walks away from the angry couple along with the dog. Meanwhile, Su Jie and Lin shout insults towards the guy. The guy examines his pet's information through the system and decides that the Storm Dog isn't that bad despite its low stats. He is determined to fight the upcoming trials. 3 days pass and the National Beastmaster exam begins. The area fills up with candidates and the test begins. People are surprised that the guy, despite not having a beast, still decided to participate. Considering that Azure Dragon Academy is the best, they didn't understand how a loser like Xiao Xinyu entered here. But from the look on the guy's face, one could see that he wouldn't give up on his dream. He turned to the teacher to inform him that he had come to take the exam. It was teacher Chen Qianyang and N was in the admissions office of Qinglong Academy. He required the name of the candidate. He introduced himself and said that he had come to take the Beast Tamer exam. Xiao Xinyu, as it turned out, was the only student from Chifeng County who had applied to their academy. Once again, this guy appeared in Xiao Xinyu's path and reported that he was very brave since he had decided to apply for the exam. He said that in the past 5 years, only 8 students had applied from his neighborhood. And as it turned out, none of them had passed this exam. This guy clearly couldn't believe that Xiao Xinyu would be able to squeeze through this exam. But if he could still pass it, the rich son would be willing to kneel down and call him daddy. Xiao Xinyu ordered him to clear his path and be ready to fulfill his declaration. This infuriated the rich boy very much. But regardless, Xiao Xinyu approached the teacher and informed him that he was ready to start the test. But before he started, the teacher decided to warn him about something. The Qinglong Academy entrance exam would be very difficult, and if he suddenly failed it, he would never have the chance to apply to any of the existing academies again. Xiao Xinyu was well aware of the consequences of losing, and despite that, he was ready to start the exam. The first test was the spiritual power test, and upon touching the magic ball, Xiao Sinyu's spiritual strength amounted to 316. This guy once again made Xiao Sinyu look like a laughingstock. He was certain that he wasn't even worth the minimum of the academy. The teacher seemed to be disappointed, for he had clearly thought that Xiao Sinyu would be an excellent and confident expert. Through this, he invited the next student to take the test. But suddenly, someone noticed that Xiao Sinyu's spiritual power began to change drastically. It was already at the 621st level, and just a second later, his spirituality exceeded the number 711. This was inexplicable, and the people present thought that the spirit power meter was broken. And after a moment, the counting stopped. Xiao Sinyu's spirituality level number had reached 1028. The teacher was completely shocked by what was happening. This really infuriated everyone present because no one could believe that Xiao Sinyu was actually capable of doing anything. A student's spirit power determined how many beasts a beast tamer could imprison. Every 100 points was equal to one beast, and the number 1028 points meant that Xiao Sinyu had great potential and he could become a 10-star beast taming master. Teacher was completely shocked by what he saw. He knew very well that he was now dealing with a future 10-star beast taming master. It was very rare to actually see him. In the past few decades, there were very few of them in the dragon realm. Therefore, they should definitely cherish such potential. It looked like the Dragon Kingdom had found its next master and genius. Xiao Sinyu's spiritual strength is 1,028 points. Last year, there was a girl named Inxian and her spiritual strength was 1,030 points, and what a surprise it was that Xiao Sinyu would be able to reach such a level. His ex-girlfriend and her chosen one were furious, but they knew that this was far from the end. There is another test, and it lies in the student's bloodline. In their opinion, he would definitely not be able to pass it. Mr. Chun prepared to announce the start of the second test, but suddenly one of the students stopped him. It seems there was a minor error with the measurement of his spirituality power. This student's real score is 1,032 points. Xiao Sinyu's score actually exceeded that of last year's candidate. This became a big problem, and the teacher asked his assistant to keep this malfunction a secret and not tell anyone. He had no choice, and the assistant had to keep silent about it. The teacher announced the beginning of the next test. It consisted of manifesting Xiao Sinyu's beast bloodline. He asked Xiao Sinyu to summon his beast, and he fulfilled the teacher's command with burning eyes. Finally, it was Black Fong's turn. A moment later, the beast's strong paws descended to the ground right in front of the teacher. Xiao Sinyu summoned his beast. It was a very fairy-like moment. Everyone around them held their breath and eagerly waited for further developments. A moment later, the puppy appeared and sprawled like a child on the ground. He was very cute and helpless. The people in the crowd knew very well that this beast had a low pedigree. They began to take great offense at Xiao Sinyu's choice because none of them would ever take him as their beast. The teacher explained that besides the bloodline of the beast, the quality of its red liquid also meant a lot, because this factor could limit an animal tamer in the future. The teacher was very sad to realize that Xiao Sinyu's beast had low-quality red liquid. He was very sorry, but he had to inform Xiao Sinyu that he was unable to pass the second trial because of his beast. Suddenly, someone from the crowd paid attention to what was going on. They seemed to have seen something interesting that made them dare to interrupt the teacher's speech. And as suddenly from a cute puppy sharply grew a powerful beast, all present were in complete shock from what they saw. And after such a thing, he definitely stopped looking like a Hellhound, because at the very least, they didn't have any evolution. Pointing his sensor at the beast, a system panel popped up in front of the teacher. It contained all the information about the animal, and seeing that it had the second level of evolution, the teacher was completely confused. He couldn't believe his eyes that this was actually happening at the moment. Looking at Xiaosanyu, he actually realized that this guy was really something special. The teacher announced the results of the exam, and it went well. Xiao Sanyu was accepted into Qinglong Academy. The couple couldn't believe that Xiao Sanyu had actually managed to pass the exam and get into the academy. And feeling humiliated, they decided to leave the place. Suddenly, they were called out by Xiao Sanyu. He decided to remind the rich kid that he was obligated to say goodbye to his daddy. This really pissed him off. He clearly had no intention of honoring his earlier word. He didn't care at all about what he had promised earlier because he clearly wasn't used to being humiliated. This made Xiao Sinyu very angry, and he called out to his beast with a vicious look. The kid was very scared and didn't know what to expect from Xiao Sinyu in the future. This beast's strength was very powerful. It was easily able to tip the kid to the ground and crush him with its strong paw. The guy was simply furious at what was happening. There was nothing left for him but to fulfill his earlier words. And through his teeth he said, "Daddy." Xiao Sinyu turned around and said that he didn't have a son like this freak, while ordering him to immediately disappear from here. Lena suddenly changed her mind and ran to him and told him that she wanted them to be together because she felt that her feelings for Xiao Sinyu had changed a lot. She was sure that he would be happy to give her a chance. But luckily that didn't happen, and with his head held high, Xiao Xinyu let her know that he clearly wasn't going to go back in time, especially not with a lowly girl like her. She fell to her knees and started begging him for forgiveness. But he didn't care about her, and all she had to do was stare at the man walking away. He pulled out his phone to tell his sister the good news about his enrollment in Qinglong Academy. She picked up the phone and he greeted her. He was preparing to tell her the great news. And suddenly the connection cut off, and he couldn't hear anything on the other end of the phone. The good news seemed to have to wait, but he didn't understand why it had happened at all. The events had moved right to the outskirts of Chifeng City, closer to the farmer's market. It was some kind of chaos. Someone from the crowd reported that a very huge number of monsters had invaded their land, and one should run away from there as soon as possible. One woman shouting from the crowd couldn't find her small child in the midst of it all. And after a moment, the child was in the arms of that screaming mother. She hugged her very tightly and hid her in her tender arms, but the baby was very frightened. Suddenly a huge shadow appeared right above them. The girl was very much afraid for her life and for the life of her little daughter. She didn't know what to do next. It was a very huge monster, and it seems that they were waiting for a very sad end because she could not find any way out of the situation. Xiao Xini was confused. He couldn't understand what had happened at all. It was just chaos all around. People were very scared and screaming for help. But what worried him at the moment was the whereabouts of his sister. He was very worried about her and did not know how he would be able to find her in this epicenter of events. And turning around, he saw a huge monster that was about to attack a woman with a child. It turned out to be his sister, and quickly reacting, he and his beast rushed to their aid. Red liquid started pouring from his eyes again, and he couldn't understand why this was happening to him again. The system panel abruptly appeared in front of him and showed the available skills of his beast. He had to make a decision whether to use them or not. He immediately started to click on the button to use all the available skills because his sister's future depended on it. But for some reason, the system blocked him from using the skills, or they just didn't work. He was furious and couldn't understand why this was happening. The demonic beast was already almost at its target. It only had a few centimeters left for it to destroy them. They were very scared. They clearly didn't want this kind of end to their lives. Qinglong Academy had been renamed Blue Dragon Academy. Xiao Xinyu was very scared, and he didn't understand why this was happening to him. Suddenly, he remembered that the people from the Blue Dragon Academy had recited some kind of spell last time. He had no choice but to try this chance too. At the beginning of the chaos before heaven and earth are divided, he clones his red liquid and summons spirits from the void. And it seems a miracle happened, and he succeeded. The beast's body began to reincarnate into a strong and powerful one. Xiao Xinyu swore by his red liquid and was able to perform this spell. He ordered the beast to listen only to his commands, and the first command sounded, "Go! It's time to save them." The beast moved straight towards the huge demon. It was going to have to fight in a battle with the monster for the lives of each of them. A moment later, the monster immobilized on the ground, and it had no signs of life left. Did Xiao Xini really manage to defeat this terrifying demon? He was shocked at the real strength of the beast-taming master. He realized that his sister was still near the monster's body. So as soon as possible, he rushed to help them. He ran up to them to make sure they were all right. They were both happy to finally see each other. The sister was completely shocked at what her brother had done. Xiao Xinyu finally took a moment to tell his sister the good news. On this day, he had passed the Azure Dragon Academy exam, and now he could control beasts just like the other students. As a small beast suddenly jumped right into Xiao Xinyu's arms, his sister was completely shocked by what she saw, and accepting it into his embrace, he introduced his beast to his sister. Specifically now, the puppy looked very cute, and its name was Hell Wolf, although you couldn't tell from its appearance. The humans were in complete shock at what they saw. Had the demon really been destroyed? Xiao Xinyu and his sister reported with pride on their faces that the monster had indeed been destroyed, and there was no longer any danger to humans. Xiao Xinyu and his beast had displayed their skills to the best of their ability. Just as suddenly, the very mother of the girl who had lost her during the danger ran out from the crowd. She was very happy to see her child alive and unharmed. The little girl was very happy to finally hug her mom. She was still scared and cried as soon as she saw her. The woman thanked the beast-taming master for being able to save her daughter. Xiao Xinyu, along with his sister, decided to approach the monster and see if he had actually succeeded. A system panel popped up in front of him and awarded him the monster's core. He was very surprised, but on the other hand, he was happy because he had gotten the initial stage of the poison core. He threw this core directly to his beast, and the beast was overjoyed, because even the initial core could improve his beast's evolution. The terrifying monster was finally destroyed, and everyone could relax. All the people who were there began to thank Xiao Xinyang because it was only because of him that they had survived now. He was their true hero. Suddenly, The little girl he had saved from the monster earlier came up to him from the crowd and told him that she wanted to be like him. He assured her that she had everything ahead of her and that she would definitely reach some heights in the future. The sun had already completely set behind the horizon. It was completely dark and only a bright month illuminated the expanse of the sky. Xiao Xinyu had long since peacefully slept in his bed. He was very tired during the day, so he fell asleep very quickly. And for some unknown reason, Xiao Xinyu's sister was standing at his bedside. She was watching him very intently. Suddenly, her eyes suddenly shone with a bright blue light, and because of that, she saw a bright blue seal on Xiao Xinyu's back with the features of a beast on it. She spoke to someone on the phone and told him that the Dragon King seal was still in place. Sister needed to find out why the dragon curse was still on Xiao Xinyu's body and affecting him. She shouted furiously at someone on the phone. She was very agitated because she couldn't understand why Xiao Xinyu still had the ability to contract with the beast. For some reason, she didn't see any sense in it. On the other side of the tube, a voice informed her that it was most likely his destiny, and that was why she should keep her eyes on him and watch Xiao Xinyu's every move. She agreed with the speaker on the phone and promised that she would fulfill this assignment. She simply must keep an eye on Xiao Xinyu. But who is this unknown person with whom she is discussing matters about Xiao Xinyu's life? Further developments will only get more interesting. The events take place at the railroad station of Chifeng City. It was Xiao Xinyu's relatives, and they tried to stick him with a basket of Kachina eggs and some money. They knew that he loved these eggs very much as a child. He waved to them and asked them not to see him off again because as soon as he returned, he would come to visit him in person. The train arrived at the colony, and he and his sister went inside and sat down on their seats. After an hour in the carriage, they announced that in a few minutes there might be animals on the railroad tracks, and because of this, there might be a slight fluctuation of the train. And after a few minutes, as it turned out, they were able to successfully pass the unsafe section of the railroad, and they could safely continue on their way. Xiao Xinyu was overjoyed that they had managed to pass the unsafe section of road without incident. They were on their way to Longan City. His sister reminded him that he would be going to school very soon, so he should study hard. Suddenly the train started to shake very violently. None of the passengers could not understand what was happening now at all, and suddenly the explanation did not wait long. As it turned out, a group of beasts known as the three-eyed giant monkeys had been spotted ahead. Everyone had to protect their belongings and themselves. The people were very frightened because they thought that everything was behind them and the plot had passed quietly. They were just terrified because they didn't realize what they had to do now, because they were hoping that someone present would be able to take over. One of the monkeys had managed to break through the roof of the train and was preparing to attack at any second. The people were very scared and had no choice but to run away because the beasts had already caught up with them. Xiao Xinyu turned to his sister and asked her to hide somewhere and stay put. She looked at him with an incomprehensible look because she didn't understand what her brother was going to do. She was very worried about her brother and didn't want him to risk his life. A moment later, the monkey was right above Xiao Xian. It was very big and scary, but it couldn't scare Xiao Xinyan at all. Suddenly, some unknown beast struck right at the monkey, and Xiao Xinyan heard someone's voice ordering him to get out of here. It was the daughter of the president of the Sky Guild, Qin Yanran. She had unleashed her beast to protect and help everyone present. And in her opinion, Xiao Xinyu had to leave because he didn't want to die at the hands of the monkeys. No one knew what her superpowers were, but she was probably strong enough. She used the power of the Thunder Flash. When Xiao Xinyu saw this, he was completely shocked at what was happening. Suddenly, Xiao Xinyu saw a system panel that had all the information about her and her animal. It was a three-tailed thunder fox, and besides it, Qin Yanran had a very powerful spear. He was shocked by the arsenal he saw and was very surprised that the daughter of the guild president himself had come to help them. Some of the residents were madly happy that the beast tamer had come to their rescue and they would be saved. Xiao Xinyi's reaction didn't need to wait either. He couldn't believe that they would actually be saved. All the people were very much frightened, but Xiao Xinyu gathered courage and decided that all the residents should urgently leave the train carriage. Suddenly, a whole pack of mad monkeys appeared in front of them. They were very angry and were going to tear each person into small pieces. Xiao Xinyi realized that the girl would not be able to deal with so many beasts by herself. Summoning his beast, he made a decision that they should definitely help her. She was simply terrified because she obviously didn't expect that there would be so many wild beasts here. And seeing Xiao Xinyi rushing to help her, she asked him to be very careful. He summoned his wolf and used one of his abilities. Xiao Xinyu was completely confident in his strength, and knew very well that the monkeys would obviously not be able to escape from him. And with a single movement of his hand, he managed to captivate the monkeys with strong and sturdy chains. And seeing how he easily disposed of the animals, Qin Yanran was very surprised that Xiao Xinyu was also a beast tamer. She thanked Xiao Xinyu for his help, to which he said that any beast tamer would have helped his ally in such a situation. Suddenly, Xiao Xinyu noticed something, and he couldn't find an explanation for it. As it later turned out, the system panel popped up and her beast became very weak and depressed. Lately, the girl's beast had become very tired after fighting with wild animals. Its body became very sluggish and it felt as if it couldn't recover. She was shocked and didn't understand how Xiao Xinyu knew all the information about her beast. And he knew that he obviously shouldn't tell her that he could see her system panel and had to lie that he had read about it in a guild book earlier. She thanked him for the information because she had noticed the strange behavior of the animal earlier but didn't understand what was going on with it. They hugged and from then on, she called him her little brother. Xiao Xinyu's real sister was watching from behind, and it looked like she clearly didn't like it and was very angry. She stood between them and informed them that Xiao Xinyu was not just a younger brother. Xiao Xinyu didn't understand the actions she was doing, and hugging him tightly she announced that he was her younger brother. Qin Yuan looked at her with a suspicious look, and after a moment, she was right behind Xiao Xinyu and questioned her if she really thought so. She decided that from now on he would be her brother too, but Xiao Xinyu's real sister didn't seem to like this decision very much, and they got into a very strong conflict. They started pushing him so hard to their sides that it felt like they could tear him in two. He was completely shocked by what was happening and tried every possible way to stop them. The events moved to the central plaza of the Azure Dragon Academy. The Dean of Education of the Academy, Lin Qian, welcomed all the new students and was happy to see the newcomers in their academy. He asked all the students to be patient because the academy principal wasn't there yet and needed to wait for him. After Xiao Xinyu said goodbye to Sister Qin, he arrived at the academy and was enrolled without any problems. Suddenly, a huge beast appeared out of nowhere. It was a white lion, and O was very strong and beautiful. Most of the students realized where the lion came from, and as soon as the rest of the students saw the purple flaming lion, they realized that Principal Su was already there. This really excited all the freshmen, and they were insanely happy to finally see her. Her beast was as powerful as she was. She descended to the ground directly to her new students. Her assistant asked her to say a few words to the new students who had joined her academy. Xiao Xinyu was completely shocked when he saw her. Her face seemed very familiar, and he was sure that he had seen her before. This was the woman who had fought the demon dragon earlier and saved him from the monster. Xiao Xinyu clearly did not expect that she would turn out to be the principal of the Azure Dragon Academy. She picked up the microphone and congratulated all the new students for entering the Azure Dragon Academy. She continued her speech and said that she didn't care whether they came from a rich family or a poor family. In the Azure Dragon Academy, all students would be required to follow all the rules that she had previously made, and no less important was rule number 8. The students were completely unaware of what was implied in rule number 8. She explained that rule number 8 is one of the most important rules. It is that if there is a conflict between students, it does not matter who is right and who is wrong. There is a ring to resolve the conflict and they will have to resolve the conflict with a duel in the ring. And after that, the loser will have to apologize to the winner. Rule number 8 was indeed cruel. But in fact, thanks to him can prevent the bullying of the rich over the poor and entering her academy all become equal. And that was why even ordinary students could do justice to others. It had been about 2 hours since the welcome party. One of the students couldn't believe that he would be studying with Shaoxin himself. Many already knew that his spiritual strength was equal to that of the best master last year. The instructor asked the students to calm down so that he could finally begin the lesson. With his whole appearance, he showed that he clearly didn't like the students' behavior very much. And finally, when everyone had calmed down, he could start his lesson. Many of the boys were ready to follow him around. Every one of them really wanted to be like Xiao Xinyu. As soon as the teacher turned back to the blackboard, some of them tried to talk to Xiao Xinyu again. The teacher, clearly not expecting this, once again asked them to be quiet and pay attention to the blackboard. He had been appointed as their class teacher and hoped that each of the students would be able to get something useful and learn something new at the Azure Dragon Academy. His name was Chinchinian and he was the one who took the exam of most of the students who had entered. He asked them to open the book and they would start with the first chapter which explained the whole theory of the companion beasts. The strength of the ultimate beast is basically determined in 2 ways. One is by determining the evolution of the beast itself. There are lower and higher stages of evolution and they include the initial form, the mature form, the full form, and the transcendent form. Well, the highest form is the form of the king of beasts. It is the strongest and most powerful. Now, the second factor is the quality of the beast's red liquid. Ancestral lines just like evolution exist in 2 cases, the lowest and the highest. And accordingly, the higher quality of the red liquid has an overwhelming effect on the lower category. And on top of that, the attributes of beasts can also create a suppressive effect. For example, there are 5 common elemental attributes such as metal, water, fire, earth, and wood, and they follow a cycle of universal suppression. Wood over earth, earth over water, pitch over fire, fire over metal, and metal over wood. These are the most basic 5 attributes, and of course there are most of the others, but the dean decided not to list all the possible ones because it would take too long. Suddenly, everyone in the classroom heard a heavy snoring sound. They saw such a funny picture. Xiao Xinyu was lying on his desk and apparently fell asleep by accident. The teacher was very angry and threw something at him to wake him up. He didn't accept the fact that in the first lecture in his class someone dared to fall asleep, so he decided to ask Xiao Xian a trick question. He was very curious to hear the answer to what the heavenly demon's real weakness was, and if he couldn't answer the question, then Xiao Xinyu should immediately get up and leave the office building. Xiao Xinyu probably pissed off the teacher very much. The teacher was still waiting for Xiao Sanyu's answer. He must have thought that he obviously couldn't answer such a question. But Xiao Xinyu stood up and defied his expectations and gave a perfect answer to the teacher's question. Her weak point is the poison in the pouch that is under her abdomen. And the teacher asked him another provocative question. Xiao Xinyu had to answer where ice crocodiles usually reside. Xiao Xinyu also easily answered this question and said that they often live in the Frostfall Lake regions of the Southern Dragon Realm in the cold pools under the Kunlun Glacier. All the students who were sitting nearby were very surprised because once again Xiao Xinyu had impressed them with his thoughts and knowledge. Xiao Xinyu's answers amazed the teacher, and he decided to ask one last question. If he encounters a sky-ripping tiger in the wilderness, what will he have to do? Xiao Xinyu said that he would grab the master card and find a shadow to hide from it. The teacher and students looked at him questioningly because they didn't quite understand his answer. He explained that the tiger tearing the sky was the king of beasts, and the only ones who could resist it were masters with 6th level and above. If a novice beast tamer met a torn tiger in the wild, there would only be one outcome, because they were not strong enough to resist such a powerful beast. And on top of that, he would put his ID card in his mouth so that his family could easily determine the identity of his body. And thanks to the shadow, the human body would decompose much slower than usual. The teacher was completely shocked by what he heard, because he obviously did not expect such an interesting and correct answer. He said through gritted teeth that he gave Xiao Xinyu's answer the highest score. There was no end to his surprise because, as it turned out, he had asked him questions from the most recent chapters and did not understand how he had managed to answer such difficult questions. Xiao Xinyu showed all the books and said that he had long ago finished studying the material from all the following books and chapters. All the students were completely shocked. They didn't understand how they could keep up with him. They thought Xiao Sanyu was an insanely talented student. He asked the class to continue studying the chapter material on their own and ordered Xiao Sanyu to follow him somewhere. Xiao Sanyu apologized and warned that he would no longer sleep in class. But as it turned out, the teacher had not called him to lecture him about sleeping in class. He was very surprised that Xiao Xinyue had actually managed to master the entire semester's theoretical material in less than half of the classes. Xiao Xinyue believed that it was all thanks to Mr. Chen's classroom teaching. The teacher didn't really like the way Xiao Xinyu flattered him, and because he had finished the entire theory section, he decided it was time for him to move on to more advanced material. He issued him an Azure Dragon Academy library card. Xiao Xinyu was very much surprised. This pass let him visit the Azure Dragon Academy's library in peace, and he had the right to borrow any books for free. After seeing all of his students' knowledge, the teacher realized that he had nothing more to teach him, so he gave him the opportunity to study the material on his own. The event moved to the library of the Azure Dragon Academy. Xiao Xinyu fully immersed himself in the study of the following material. He was very attentive to the study of chows in the birthing stage. Suddenly, someone abruptly burst into the library building. It turned out to be the son of the director's advocate Wang Yang. He was very arrogant, because he thought that the whole academy belongs only to him. He ordered all the boys to leave the library building. So of course everyone scattered around and soon left the building. As it turned out, they were very afraid of him. But Xiao Xinyu did not pay attention and remained seated in his seat, continuing to study the information carefully. When he saw the girls, he asked them to stay and keep him company while he was supposedly studying. They looked at him with frightened eyes and begged him to let them go. Suddenly, his behavior made Xiao Xinyu very angry, and after closing the book, he ordered him to shut up. Wang Yang clearly didn't like this and was very angry. He didn't suspect that anyone would dare to contradict him. Wang Yang's friends pointed their fingers at Xiao Xinyu and said that he was the guy who disrespected him. Xiao Xinyu stood up for the girls because he considered those people who bully girls to be the bottom. Wang Yang didn't understand who this hero was who dared to cross him. The girl was very scared and advised Xiao Xinyu not to mess with this guy just because he is the son of the headmaster's intercessor. And after that, it came to Xiao Xinyu's attention for what reason this guy was allowing himself this kind of behavior. Wang Yang was very happy that Xiao Xinyu was able to realize this. And since Xiao Xinyu now knew who he was, Wang Yang ordered him to kneel down in front of him and apologize, hoping that he would actually carry out all of his instructions. But under no circumstances was Xiao Xingye going to do so. He was really pissed off by this guy's arrogance and decided to teach him a lesson, thereby hitting him. Wang Yang shrank back and fell to the floor. His friends clearly did not expect this turn of events. They were completely shocked and began to worry greatly about Wang Yang's condition. Wang Yang was very furious. He didn't understand what right Xiao Xingye had to fight him at all. His strength had left him a bit, but that didn't stop him from threatening Xiao Xingye. He promised him that he would make sure that Xiao Xingye would not be able to stay alive. He continued to act arrogant even while lying on the floor. Suddenly, there was a clack of heels behind them, and they heard a familiar voice. It was the academy principal, and she looked quite stern. With a sneer, she said that she didn't even realize that Qinglong Academy was under the control of this arrogant guy. Wang Yam couldn't understand at all how the principal knew about the incident so quickly and came to them. She seemed to have realized what had happened between them, and she said that since they had a conflict, to solve it, they must comply with rule number 8. This rule is a duel between two conflicting parties. The loser must apologize to the winner. The events have moved to the main arena area. The announcers announced that the fight between Xiao Xinyu and Wang Yang was about to take place and invited everyone to watch. But as it turned out, Wang Yang's beast was the legendary 6-headed sky-creating leopard. Can Xiao Xinyu really defeat it? It would be a very difficult fight. The teacher was very worried about his student, and he hoped very much that Xiao Xinyu would not let him down. The battle was about to begin and all the participants should enter the arena. As he held his hand before the fight, he threatened Xiao Xinyu that after the fight he would kiss his feet and do his bidding. Without paying attention, he threw him a retort and told him that he would wait for him to personally apologize. This really pissed Wang Yang off. Finally, after a few minutes, the competition between them began. Wang Yang summoned his mighty leopard to the surface. It looked amazing. It was azure blue in color with huge fangs and insanely powerful strength. It was an insanely strong cleaving leopard. This bloodline was legendary. It had unreal strength and any attack it made dealt a huge amount of freezing damage. Seeing that this beast had as many as 2 attributes, Xiao Xinyu was completely shocked. But it didn't scare him because he was willing to be responsible for his actions and words. It was his time to speak. He summoned his black fang into the arena. Seeing Xiao Xinyu's beast, one of the students was completely shocked. He thought he was very strong and powerful. But the other one clearly disagreed with him, and he thought that the 6-clawed sky-splitting leopard would completely win in this level. Someone was watching everything happening from the VIP seats. It was Academy Principal Qin Long. After taking a closer look, she realized that she had never seen a beast like Xiao Xingya's, but it was very similar to her. It was like an evolutionary version of a wind dog. But after all, a wind dog was always a useless beast that never had an evolutionary path. She couldn't understand how Xiao Xinyu was able to create such a transformation with his beast. Meanwhile, in the arena, Wang Yan was trying to humiliate Xiao Xinyu in every way possible. He was 100% sure of his victory. He unleashed his ice leopard that could create ice cracks all over the arena with its claw. It looked very powerful. Xiao Xingya's black rock beast had to make a snake-like movement. It dodged the leopard's punches with ease. 2 strong animals clashed in a strong fight. It both possessed very powerful strength and was willing to put up 100% in the battle. Master watched the duel intently. Xiao Xinyu's Hellstorm Wolf was a beast with the attributes of wind and fire, while the sky-splitting leopard was a beast with the attributes of ice and wind. And at any rate, each of them had flaws that they would not be able to avoid under any circumstances. Wang Yang informed Xiao Xinwu that he would easily be able to immobilize his beast, and after a moment he released the ice leopard outside. Applying the destructive sky skill, he struck the Xiao Xinyu beast vividly. And now, he didn't understand what he should do. Xiao Xinyu's beast was completely immobilized and frozen into an ice block. After something like this, no one knew what would happen next. Xiao Xinyu definitely had to think of a further plan of action because he clearly must not lose to this scum. Xiao Xinyu looks at his ice-frozen clump of Hellhound while his opponent laughs while saying, "Ha ha ha, Xiao Xinyu." The opponent stands next to the huge snow leopard and threateningly states, "Pretty soon, your beast will just freeze to death." The people around are watching tensely, the woman thinking, "What will you do, Xiao Xinyu?" Xiao Xinyu smiles confidently as he looks at his opponent and utters, "Humph, are you so sure of that?" He abruptly shouts out, "Black Fang, hunt in the darkness," activating his Hellhound, which begins to free itself from the ice trap. The Hellhound begins to dissolve like coffee in hot water. The enemy is amazed to see the dog disappear from the ice block, exclaiming, "Gone!" 2 observers assess what is happening. The teacher says, "An attribute of darkness," and the principal adds, "It turns out that Xiao Xinyu's beast has as many as 3 of them." The opponent starts to panic, looking around. "Damn, where did he go?" A red shadow appears on the ground, and one of the observers realizes, "So he became a shadow." No wonder the ice couldn't hold him. The Hellhound suddenly bursts out of the shadow and rushes at the opponent with a deafening roar. The opponent notices the threat at the last moment, his eyes widening in shock. The snow leopard tries to engage, swiftly attacking the Hellhound, but the latter is already ready for a fight. Their claws collide in a fierce confrontation, and the opponent cries out in surprise, sensing the approaching danger. Xiao Xinyu confidently observes the fight and says, "Humph, let him show what he can do." The Hellhound glares fiercely at his opponent, preparing to deliver a decisive blow. Xiao Xinyu commands his beast, Black Fang, Oblivion Claw. The dog instantly activates its ability, and an aura of powerful darkness appears around it, ready to crush the enemy. A blast of red energy dazzles everyone around him, and the dog attacks the enemy with incredible power. At that moment, the effect of the Claw of Oblivion does its job. The snow leopard is trapped in the attack streams, and its owner screams, "Ice Flame, fight back! Don't just stand there. Do something." The woman watches the battle between the two masters and realizes that the Ice Fang can't stand up to the Hellhound. The snow leopard, reinforced with ice magic, prepares to attack. Its eyes are filled with red light, and it rushes forward. It is announced that Claw of Oblivion is a skill of the attribute of darkness. When it hits the target, it causes paralysis for 3 seconds. Xiao Xinyu, fighting to win, decides that it's time to end the fight. He shouts out a command, urging his dog to deliver the decisive blow. The Hellhound, showing its fury, executes an attack called Black Fang, Hell Howl. Its eyes shine with scarlet light, and the energy around it concentrates into a powerful strike. Xiao Xinyu's Hellhound unleashes a powerful volley of fire filled with bright energy directly at the enemy. Its attack looks like a sizzling flash that comes off its mouth and rushes forward, striking the target. The opponent's snow leopard cannot withstand the force of the attack and flies away, suffering severe damage. Its body is knocked down, and shards of the surrounding space fly in different directions. Xiao Xinyu and the host celebrate the victory. The host joyfully raises Xiao Xinyu's hand and announces, "Victory!" Xiao Xinyu stands confidently, his face expressing satisfaction after successfully completing the battle. The fans in the crowd shout with delight as they support their hero. They shout out the winner's name with smiles and enthusiasm. Xiao Xinyu. Xiao Xinyu's opponent, who was standing so arrogantly before, is now on his knees, shocked and exhausted. His face expresses complete disbelief at what happened. And it's impossible. The principal approaches the student and says coldly, "You lost." A woman watching all this happening intervenes and states, "Now, according to school rules, apologize properly." She walks toward her opponent, her voice stern and determined, demanding justice. The woman continues with a cold stare. It's time to stop this farce already. Her determination is obvious, and she has no intention of letting the rules be broken. The opponent is desperate, his face contorted with rage and frustration. He can't accept the humiliation, but he still realizes his position. He bends down in front of Xiao Xinyu and apologizes, his voice trembling, "Forgive me." Xiao Xinyu looks at him, remaining calm, and watches his opponent perform the apology. The principal meets with the winner and says, "Xiao Xinyu, that was a great duel. You're already the second student to impress me." The defeated opponent cannot accept this. There is fury on his face, and he whispers under his breath, "You'll pay for this yet, Xiao Xinyu." The woman who was watching the fight smiles and turns to Xiao Xinyu. "I look forward to seeing you compete in the freshman ranking tournament in 3 days. Xiao Xinyu, slightly embarrassed, Thank you for the praise, Madam Headmaster." After which, he asks the question that interests him. "But, who was first then?" The headmaster replies with a serious tone, "A genius girl with a spiritual power level above 1000. Her name is Yi Ningxuang." Xiao Xinyu immediately realizes that this is the same one who was already talked about in the entrance exam. Xiao Xinyu's inner voice recalls the information. Her again, she's the one they were still talking about in the entrance exam. His gaze becomes more serious, as if he is preparing for a new challenge. The woman takes out a spatial ring and holds it out to Xiao Xinyu, saying, "I know how to appreciate talents, so you can take this spatial ring as a reward." Her smile shows that she is genuinely proud of his achievements and wants to support him. Xiao Xinyu looks at the ring with surprise and delight. He did not expect such a valuable reward. The spatial ring is surrounded by golden light, and the woman explains, "You can store anything in it, right?" Under this description, it is also explained that the ring is a high-tech equipment designed to store various things including food, summoned beast supplements, and magical monster cores. Xiao Xinyu, having finally recovered from her surprise, gladly accepts the ring, smiling gratefully. "Then I will gladly accept this reward." He takes the ring and says, "Thank you, Headmaster." Xiao Xinyu is standing at the gate of Azure Dragon Academy, thinking that his sister must be worried and that he needs to go home soon. Suddenly, a little girl crashes into him, who cries out slightly from the impact, "Ouch!" The little girl, whose eyes are spinning from the impact, looks confused. Xiao Xinyu asks if she's okay, and she replies that yes, she's fine. Xiao Xinyu gets down on one knee in front of the girl and gently places his hand on her head, instructs her to look around next time, and suggests she run home. The girl suddenly says, "But, brother, I have nowhere to go. Could you please shelter me?" and hugs his leg, asking for help. Xiao Xinyu looks puzzled. Being in the family dormitory, the sister was indignant. "I just arrived and already this kind of thing is here." Xiao Xinyu is suddenly grabbed by the ear by his sister, who exclaims, "Xiao Xinyu, did you kidnap a child?" He looks confused and doesn't understand anything. Xiao Xinyu tries to justify himself. "Of course not. Just let me explain everything." His sister replies unhappily, "Explain? And what were you going to explain if you've already done everything?" A few minutes pass and the situation calms down a bit. Xiao Xinyu sits next to the girl and his sister, explaining the situation to them. He says that the girl named Shimeng is afraid of magical beasts and cannot become a beastmaster. Besides, she was constantly bullied at home, so she ran away. Xiao Xinyu explains that he brought the girl here to help her deal with her fear. His serious expression and confident posture show how important it is for him to help the girl overcome her fear. The girl asks Zhou Shui's sister to stay with her as she doesn't want to go back home. Zhou Shui looks at her and agrees, but her face expresses some concern. Hugging the girl, Zhou Shui starts a sentence with "however," as if she is about to say something important or give a warning. She then tells Xiao Xinyu that he should not date a girl from the Yi family, emphasizing the importance of this prohibition. Xiao looks puzzled, clearly not understanding the reason. The scene shifts to the Azure Dragon Academy, where a group of students are preparing for an important event. Xiao ponders the ban on meeting a girl from the Yi family, not understanding why his sister suddenly brought up the topic. Zhao's friend is surprised by his mumbling and asks if he knows anything about the Yi family, then reminds him that in this lesson they will be defining roles on the battlefield and wonders if Xiao knows what that is. Xiao, embarrassed, apologizes and confirms that they will be discussing roles as a group, clarifying that beastmen usually act in teams and their roles are different. They are then shown visualizations of the different roles in battle: an archer with ranged skills, a mage with advanced crowd control, and other team members with their respective pets, such as a giant bear. There are roles like tank. For example, this guy has some powerful creature that resembles a huge beast with spikes. He has strong defenses and skills that can regenerate health. The glowing orange glow around him emphasizes his combat power and willingness to protect the team. The tank, as they say, is a shield for everyone else, providing protection and support. Next, the assassin is shown, which is highly maneuverable. It is designed to take out enemies, especially those who are already weakened. The picture shows his agility and swiftness, with energy surrounding his body. A cat with purple eyes next to him enhances his mystical and swift nature. A support that specializes in reinforcing team members was also shown. The huge butterfly above the character symbolizes his ability to impose positive effects on the entire team, providing a significant advantage in battle. The butterfly glows with a soft purple light, emphasizing its magical abilities. Shang Yu appears with a surprised expression on his face, and he turns to Brother Xiao, wondering how his storm butterfly could best fit in with the team. His emotions are conveyed through his gestures and widened eyes, showing his genuine interest in what is happening. The teacher suddenly interrupts their dialogue, pointing out that Shang Yu is talking too much during class. He demands silence, and Shang Yu immediately apologizes, admitting his mistake. The teacher explains that according to the ordinal numbers, they will need to summon their beasts to take the test. In this way, the teacher will decide each student's role in the group. The first in line was Sung, who he got the role of a tank as his beast has powerful defense, so now he is a tank. His beast was in the form of a powerful bull, with a huge ring in its nose. Next was the chattering Wu Shangyu. He got the role of a mage, as his storm butterfly possesses massive water element-based skills. Finally, it was Xiao Xinyu's turn. The guy was excited, hoping that he would get a good role. But first, Xiao must pass the first attack test. The teacher asked if Xiao was ready. Xiao Xian standing in the center of the magic circle with burning runes around him. He confidently states, "Always ready." Soon, Xiao summons his huge wolf that emits an intimidating aura. The wolf prepares to attack, its eyes burning red with Xiao by its side. Next, a powerful attack occurs. The wolf, which Xiao calls Black Fong, performs a hell howl. From this action, a huge explosion occurs, with energy flying in all directions, destroying everything around it. The power of the attack is noticeable in the surrounding landscape. After the attack, the result appears on the screen: critical hit, triple. The number that appears on the screen is 6371, showing the incredible power of the attack. This number clearly exceeds the expectations of those around him. The students' reactions are not long in coming. They are amazed. One of them exclaims delightedly, "Wow, that's a triple critical hit." Another adds in a panic that it won't even reach 1500, showing how much higher Zhao's abilities are. The teacher watching is also impressed with the result. He notes that usually the attack of novice beastmasters is between 500 and 1500, and clearly did not expect such a result from Zhao and his wolf. This unexpected result makes one wonder about the hidden potential of the disciple. Zhao, himself wasting no time, turns to the teacher, asking if he is suitable for the role of an assassin based on his successful passing of the attack test. But his words are interrupted by the teacher's order to continue the test, making it clear that it doesn't end there. The next test is a range test. Zhao once again summons the Black Fang, who performs the Hell Howl, releasing a powerful beam of energy. Sheng Yu is surprised by the result. The attack reaches nearly 800 meters, suggesting that perhaps the role of an archer would have suited Zhao best. But suddenly, the demonic wolf shows amazing results. Besides attack and range, it was also good at defense, and therefore Shang Yu thinks that Zhao might fit the role of a tank since he is a real monster. Stop. Wolf Zhao again shows amazing results on control, so Shang Yu thinks that Zhao can become a mage. The teacher analyzed the data and says that any beast that is within 10 meters of the storm wolf gets a 30% increase to rage, 10% to attack, and 10% to movement speed. Shang Yu was shocked. He asks Teacher Chun what role Xiao Xinyu would play, because any of them are suitable for him, so it is very difficult to choose. Xiao himself listening to all this, he himself was shocked at his wolf, for he was so good that he had nothing to say. Looking at the teacher, one could tell that he was thinking about something. Indeed, the teacher explains to the students that actually, besides these 5 roles, there is another special role called, but as usual, no one tells us what that role is. Instead, Xiao stands in a rather pathetic stance. Sheng Yu asks Teacher Chun, "What does that mean?" The teacher explains that it's the name of a beastmaster whose summoned creature is equally suited for all roles. That's when the beastmaster is honored with a special role. Yes, Xiao Xinyu turns out to be the only universal in their group. Classmates were shocked by Zhao's coolness. They wondered how he became so cool. But our boy Xiao blushes at these words. According to him, he is not as cool as he seems. Teacher Chun warns against rejoicing prematurely, as universals are rare but do exist. He reports that the flow data has not yet been fully processed, but some names are already known, including Xiao Xinyu. He mentions that Ning Shun and Han Tianjun are in the second group, and Mori Yinyang and Li Xianjun are in the third group. The teacher appeals to the disciples, including Xiao Xinyu, to continue working hard. A little later, Xiao Xinyu, walking around the campus, reflects on the fact that classes are finally over. He plans to buy Black Fang supplements to prepare for the beginner ranking competition. Along the way, he is stopped by a group of guys. One of them asks him where he is in such a hurry. Xiao Xinyu warily inquires what they want. The leader of the group, with a smirk, mentions the Black Tiger Guild and hints at a conflict. Idiot Wang suggests breaking Zhao's leg to see if he'll remain as cocky afterward, and a guy named Lei agrees to do it. A group of people block Xiao Xinyu's path, accusing him of daring to cross young Master Wang. Xiao realizes that the leader of the group is named Lei. The leader of the group, Brother Lei, appears before him with a threat. Xiao notices that the opponents are 3rd and 4th level beastmen, and rebukes them for attacking someone who is only at the 1st level. You can tell in his gaze that since they decided to attack, he won't hold back. One of the opponents, with a confident smirk, prepares to attack, declaring that Xiao will get what he deserves now. He assures the Mr. Wang standing behind him that he can handle him. His hand glowed with purple lightning, telling us that he will now summon his pet. The enemy summons Thunder Tiger, who growls impressively as he prepares to attack. In response, Xiao commands Black Fang to engage. Black Fang, powerful and formidable, rushes at the tiger, showing off his strength. He bites the tiger's neck, which makes the tiger squeal like a dog. Even though he is a cat, the tiger is unable to hold back the onslaught, falling to the ground. Brother Lei is shocked, realizing that the young master did not warn him about such a powerful Xiao beast. Brother Lei ponders how his opponent, who is only in his mature form, is able to resist his full-stage lightning tiger. 2 powerful beasts meet on the battlefield, the Thunder Tiger and the Red Wolf, both surrounded by electrical discharges, ready to fight. Bro. Lei, confident in his strength, is challenged, believing his opponent to be weak. He is determined to find out who is stronger. A group of people gather around him, each accompanied by a different beast. Among them, the 3rd and 4th level elite of the Black Tiger Guild stands out. Meanwhile, someone is pondering over who will win this confrontation, the Black Tiger or the other side. Suddenly, everyone's attention is drawn by the appearance of a girl with 2 companions. She declares her affiliation with the Heaven Sky Guild, which causes everyone around her to be surprised. Xiao was shocked that he had met Qin's sister in this place. Xiao Xinyu, upon seeing the acquaintance, exclaims, "Sister Qin!" At this time, a group of people find themselves surrounded, and one of them reports in a panic, "Head trouble! We're surrounded." It turns out that they were surrounded by the Heavenly Guild, the second-ranked guild in Luanin City. Even the strongest guild avoids conflicts with them. Miss Qin appears and is asked the reason for her visit. She, hugging Xiao Xinyu, says that she accidentally found out about Lei's intentions for her brother. She is surprised that Lei was planning something against Xiao Xinyu, whom she calls her named brother. Qin Yinzhan warns that if someone decides to offend her brother, they will face her and the entire Heavenly Guild first. Lei, realizing the situation, tries to justify herself, claiming that there was a misunderstanding. Meanwhile, Brother Lei points out a guy named Wang, stating that he was the one who hired them to cause trouble for Qin Yinzhan's brother. Wang, in a tense situation, excuses himself to Miss Qin, saying that he didn't know about Zhao's relationship with her. Meanwhile, Miss Qin turns to head Lei, reminding him of his duties. Lei, embarrassed and sweaty, agrees, claiming he knows what to do. Meanwhile, a conflict breaks out. One of the men of Brother Lei's group accuses Wang of daring to offend young Master Xiao. Brother Lei orders his boys to teach the offending man a lesson. In response, the offended man exclaims that he was the one who hired them and wonders how he could have been treated like that. Later, the conversation shifts to the Heavenly Guild. The girl asks Brother Xiao how he came across this situation in the first place. Xiao explains that he wanted to buy tonics for Black Fong and didn't expect to be so lucky. The girl wonders why he hasn't asked her for help. She reminds him that their guild specializes in such things and offers him everything he needs for free. Xiao is amazed at her generosity and reflects that she must be the guild leader's only and favorite daughter. They then walk through the training hall, which is equipped with advanced simulators for the beasts to quickly learn skills. There's also a lounge area where the beastmen can relax after their quests. The building has a conference room for meetings and planning further development. In the medical area with advanced equipment and a wide range of medicines, there is an explanation about the highly skilled beast doctors who provide the best services to treat injured beasts. Xiaoman is surprised by the term beast doctors and wonders about the possibility of joining the guild and becoming a doctor. He approaches Sister Qin to ask to join, but is met with an emphatic refusal. The deputy head of the Heaven Guild, Lu Yu, states that the young man's age and experience do not qualify him for a place in their guild, emphasizing that this is not funny. The situation is defused by a girl who calls the young man her brother-in-law and explains that he helped her on the train. She recalls that she has already told about him. At this time, a guy runs in reporting breaking news. He reports the delivery of several severely injured beasts, and the staff is faced with a shortage of staff. Lu Yu decides to call for help from other branches, but time is short due to the heavy bleeding of the beasts. That's when Xiao takes full responsibility and offers his help, realizing that there's not a second to lose.